Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here with Justin Herlick at Pine.ca. Hey, Justin, how's it going?
Hey, Andy. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great, thanks. Tell me a little bit about Pine. What do you do there?
Yeah, so Pine is a direct-to-consumer fintech company for the Canadian market. And it really comes from my personal experience. So I've grown up in here in Canada for most of my life, but I spent 5 years working in the US at other fintech companies. And particularly, I was at a company called Blend. And what that company did was we provided software to the biggest mortgage lenders in the US. And this is companies like Wells Fargo, US Bank, Movement Mortgage. And while I was there and while this company was growing really quickly, I had the opportunity to lead its project expansion into Canada. And what I had was a really well kind of oiled machine of this technology that allowed banks to offer mortgage experiences online. And I tried getting that adopted by the large Canadian banks. So I went and I talked to them all and I said, hey, look, we have this amazing product. And while we did get some traction in Canada, really the feedback we got from the big players was, hey, it's too early, it's not ready. We're not ready to take this risk, even though it was working so well in the US. And as a Canadian living in the US, I was like, there's so many services available here. Why are the Canadian banks so afraid of innovating and creating technology? So that's really kind of where the idea behind Pine came. And I said, you know what, if I can't get one of the traditional players on board to change their process, I'm just going to start a whole new company and give the customer what they want, which is really seamless online mortgage experience. And we do that by being a full stack lender, which is a little bit more involved than some of our other companies in the industry, but we're really proud of that. And we at Pine try to provide customers in the Canadian market with the best possible mortgage experience that they can get.
Really interesting. And so tell me a little bit about the customer journey. So what's the pain point that a customer has? And then once they find you, what's that experience like?
So I think the pain point that most customers have is it's a very complicated product, and mortgage is the biggest financial transaction the average person's ever going to do. So for most people, getting a multi-$100,000 loan to get a home is very intimidating. It's something that they're not familiar with. So it really starts upfront with education. Customers who come through Pine are educated very quickly upfront on the different offerings that we have available, the types of product loans that we have for them. And through that, we try to be as in touch with them and upfront with them as possible. So something that separates us is just our responsiveness. So you go through our process, you're going to be in touch, you're going to be paired with an online mortgage advisor. So that's a real person. And they're going to be in touch with you very quickly, and they're going to guide you through your process. So even though we are very online and technology focused, that doesn't mean that we don't have humans in the process. That's very important part of our steps. Versus kind of what you would have with a traditional player is you put your application into a black hole, you never know, a few days later you get a message, and from there it's a very disjointed experience. So ours is a much more streamlined approach. We try to make it as fast as possible, get you to an approval if you're appropriate for the type of loans that we're giving, and then we walk you through the rest of your mortgage process very straightforward. And we have a great group of people here that work and do that, and our technology is, I would say, the best in class. So everything you can do online. You can electronically sign your documents, you can submit your information, and you can get in touch with our team over text, email, or the phone.
I love these businesses that take a complex, fragmented process and consolidate them into, simple kind of user experience and just really modernize the experience. So what's the timeline from when somebody applies for a loan to then getting approved and then getting the loan?
Yeah, so we can turn approvals around in as fast as a day, but typically I think most people see it in about 2 to 3 days, and that's significantly faster than the large typical players here in Canada. And then when they want to close, that's really on their schedule. So most people, they'll get a mortgage, and that's a valid mortgage for 120 days. Something that's really interesting is it's obviously been a really volatile year for interest rates, for loans, for mortgages, and with that, you can get your mortgage rate for 120 days fixed. So because you have that 120 days, we're not going to push you to, close on our schedule. We want it to really work around your mortgage schedule. So if you want to close, if you need to close in 2 weeks, we can do that. If you know that you have a mortgage coming up in, December, we can do that as well. So the kind of time to close is on the customer schedule and meets their expectations.
Were you seeing a lot of refi business when you initially started the company when rates were much lower?
So interesting aspect of the Canadian market. In Canada, everyone gets a 25-year mortgage with a 5-year fixed term. That's the most popular product. And typically the fees to break a 5-year term to get a lower rate, they're not worth it because you're going to pay so much brokerage fees. Where in the US, people get a 30-year mortgage that are on what's called open terms, meaning that if the rates drop, you take your old mortgage out, you put the new mortgage in at a lower rate, and you refinance. That's not super common in Canada. That being said, people do have reasons for refinancing here. They sometimes want to consolidate debts. They want to take money out for home renovation, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That business has shrunk with interest rates being as high as they are. But where we do a really good job helping customers is switching their mortgage over to us. So when they come up on that end of their 5-year term, we want to make it as easy as possible to get the best possible rate with us. Because a lot of people don't get offered the best rates on the renewal. So they're looking for a better opportunity, especially with rates as high as they are today. They want to make sure they're getting the best possible mortgage. So when they come up, they switch over to us. And that's a customer that already has a well-established credit history. We know what the profile of the mortgage looks like, and they come over. So we've seen a big shift to renewal business as well as purchase.
Fantastic. That sounds really interesting. It sounds like a buyer persona right there, actually, is somebody who fits that profile. Is that when you're growing the company, is that a type of persona that you target in your growth?
So we work with everyone, anyone who wants a mortgage. If we can have a product that's appropriate for them, we'll work with them. But particularly where we find that we're really able to move fast and provide people the optimal customer experience is on those renewals and switches. So people have an existing mortgage and they're looking for a better one. We love to work with those customers. And we also really love to look at Canadians who are buying condos, because condos are a great fit for our product. We have a very, very attractive rate for that. And in that market, we can move very quickly because it's very easy to underwrite. It's very easy to understand what a person looking for a condo needs out of their mortgage. So those are kind of two customers that we do really well with, but we'll serve anyone in the province of Ontario.
And how are you growing the company? What are some channels that are working for you? And when you see growth, where are you dialing it up?
Yeah. So in terms of where we're growing, as an online company, there's a lot of ways to contact borrowers through the internet. So a lot of other fintechs do this as well, but we found that quite successful. And then as we build up our initial customer base advertising online, what we found is like referrals are the best customers that we can get. And that's why we're so focused on customer experience. If we can give someone a great customer experience, it's very likely that that person's going to refer us more business. And that works for us to get our cost of acquisition down. It also works to build our word of mouth and our reputation. So we only really started in January. We're building up that book. But over time, that's our long-term play is to be known as the easiest, most convenient, and most streamlined mortgage player in our market.
That's awesome. And are you working with other mortgage brokers, or do you compete with them? Like, do people use your platform? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so mortgage brokers is something that you would say we compete with. So we only distribute through our direct-to-consumer channel. We don't work with independent third-party mortgage brokers today. And this is something that we think is really important to differentiating us. It's not exactly transparent how much mortgage brokers make in a transaction. And our goal is to provide customers with transparency around our business and know that they're getting the best rate up front. Because when you get a mortgage with Pine, we give you the best mortgage rate that our credit team can give you as the first thing. But when you work with a broker, you might not know this, but brokers actually have the opportunity to give customers a better rate in exchange for a reduced commission. But most brokers are unwilling to reduce their commission as much as we are. So we're really fighting to give people a lot of the economics back to them. In the long run, we think it's going to make up for it with a larger customer base and people who come back to us.
That sounds great. I love that. And providing that kind of transparency is great. When you think about who your buyer personas are, who are, some more of the profiles of the people that you're marketing to? It sounds like people who are in that 5-year window and renewing their mortgage. Who else and how else are you getting the word out?
Yeah, so people who are within the window of they're able to renew. So this is probably someone 160 to 120 days out from the renewal. That's a huge buyer persona for us, as well as first-time home buyers. There's a lot of incentives in Canada for first-time home buyers that are provided by the government, and we work with them through these programs to really give them a seamless experience. And like I said, being as affordable as we possibly can and giving those economics back to that customer, because with home prices as high as they are here, even with the recent slight decline, it's really, really important that people are getting the best rate that they can, and we want to help everyone be able to afford their home.
It's great. It sounds like I can tell from your website already. And as a content company, we love when people are doing a great job of content marketing already. Tell me a little bit about how content plays into your marketing strategy.
Yeah, content's a huge part of our marketing strategy. When people come to Pine.ca, we really want them to find a wealth of valuable resources that help them understand the various complex parts of a mortgage. It's a very complicated transaction, and because of that, we want them to be able to feel like, hey, I can get quality advice from Pine, and they can inform me on the different pieces that I might not otherwise know. So it is really important to us. And we've just really honestly, we've just gotten started. In the next, few months and coming years, we hope to build really a vast number of resources on our site to help Canadians.
It's great. And I guess the last question is, what would you like to be celebrating in a year?
In a year, I hope that we're licensed in more provinces and that we are, crossing significant milestones in terms of the number of borrowers that we've helped. We've also have a number of really exciting internal milestones just in terms of our technology and what we've built. So we've built everyone sees our customer portal, but we're building a number of underwriting and credit automation tools as well that will help us get to decisions even faster. Hopefully we give people that instant decision online.
Very exciting. Great stuff, Justin. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you as well.
All right, Pine.ca. Check it out. Thanks so much.